Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a look at a new Stoutland. I kind of like this Stoutland. Now, our translation here comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet, who, as we know, is a very lovely man. And if we start off with the basics here, 150 HP is fairly high. Having said that, you know, back in Sun and Moon Base, we got Dragonite as a Stage 2 of 160. Empoleon always has 160, so it's slightly lower than we'd like. And speaking of lower than we'd like, the retreat cost of 3 is annoying. No buff padding to get extra HP. No easy search with Pokemaniac, etc. That's kind of annoying. And speaking of annoying, we got a weakness to fighting here, which is, as previously mentioned, annoying. We got stuff like Buzzwole running around everywhere, and Pikachu and Zekrom. Well, it's not just Pikachu and Zekrom, it's also Raichu and Alolan Raichu, etc. There's a bunch of lightning Pokemon at the moment that are really good, which means people are going to play fighting Pokemon to counter them, and they will end up countering you as well. That is less than ideal. Speaking of less than ideal, you are a colorless Pokemon, which means you get no extra tricks and you're hitting nothing for weakness. You do get triple acceleration energy, but that's not really for colorless Pokemon. That's for any Pokemon that can use colorless energy, which does include Stoutland here, I'll grant you that. But it's not exactly just for him now, is it? So, I'm going to be honest with you, the basics do not fill us with joy in any way, shape or form. So what about the ability here? Well, the ability, ladies and gentlemen, now that we do like very much indeed. The ability, according to the lovely Antoine, reads, you may use this ability once when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, and once when the active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from one of your opponent's attacks. Discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. And the thing is, you get to double dip on this ability. You get to use it when you evolve up into Stoutland, and you get to use it when Stoutland leaves the field. Now, as a side note here, it is knocked out by damage from an attack, so if it's knocked out by something like burn or poison between turns, that won't work. If it is knocked out by damage from an ability, think something like Decidueye, that will not work. But most of the time it's going to be knocked out by damage from an attack. So that's kind of cool. And this just discards energy. And we've seen a Pokemon with a similar ability that has seen play. We've got the Lycanroc Dusk Form GX, and that's just got the ability that discards an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon, and that's seen a bit of play and a bit of love. Now, that has seen more play and love in Japan than it has in, say, North America and Europe, but it's still seen some play, it's still seen some love. It is a viable ability. And this, you get to double dip. You get to then discard when it goes away as well. And the good news is you can reuse this ability. Now, it is a bit awkward. We don't have Ace Roller anymore to pick up the Pokemon, but, and you're going to hear me say this quite a lot in the upcoming weeks and months, we've got the combination of Will and Super Scoop Up. Will lets you basically decide the next coin flip this turn. Super Scoop Up lets you pick up a Pokemon on a coin flip. But of course, if you've played Will, you get to have already decided that the Super Scoop Up is going to come up heads. And what you can do here is just pick it up and then chuck it right back down again and get rid of another energy. And in terms of energy denial, this is about the best we've got at the moment. Now, we do still have Crushing Hammer because of the secret rare that we got in Ultra Prism, but we haven't had Team Flare Grunt for a while now, and we're losing Plumeria to the rotation. So the fact of the matter is, if you want to get rid of your opponent's energy, you are frankly running out of options. And this is a good option. This is an option that's going to work. But it's also a stage 2. So you might be evolving it up with Rare Candy, which means you can use stuff like Super Scoop Up to reuse it. I wasn't lying when I told you that. But it also means that either you're going to have a stage 1 Herdier on the bench, or you're going to have another Rare Candy ready to go. But the fact of the matter is, getting rid of energy is amazing. There are going to be some decks that are less hurt, so decks like Malamar and Naganadel can accelerate energy. To be fair, they can only accelerate so much energy during their turn, but they can then re-accelerate every turn, so it's going to have less of an impact. Against Welder decks, it will have a bit more of an impact, because there's only so many Welder in their deck, so although they can reuse Welder every turn, there are only so many Welder. Unless they start mucking about with Power Pad, but you can essentially undo their supporter for the turn. If you're against a deck like Zapdos, for instance, then you're more on it, because they've got one energy that they're attaching per turn, and you're going to hurt them. Honestly, the best decks for this are decks that need more than one energy, but don't have much energy acceleration. And there just aren't many of these decks around at the moment. You're generally looking at energy acceleration with stuff like Malamar, Naganadel, Welder, or single energy attackers like Zapdos, which is a little bit of a pain. But the fact of the matter is, energy denial's always been good. Even against those kind of decks, it's good. It's just not game-wrecking, lock 'em out of the game good. And this is about the best energy denial we've got. Now, there is an attack here, and the attack is actually pretty viable as well. What it does for free colourless energy is 110 to the active and 30 to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. That ain't bad. I mean, bearing in mind, a little while ago we had Darkrai that did 90 to the active, 30 to the bench, and that was decried as one of the best Pokemon in the game, and it was. And since then we've had like an Umbreon and a Kingdra that basically have the same attack as well. This does 20 more to the active, but I'll be honest with you, it's still not phenomenal. The problem is the numbers have moved on. The reason why Darkrai was so good was back then everything had like 180 HP. And 90 and 30 really hit you up to the numbers. 2 90s or 190 after 3 30s and you're getting the KOs. That was what was so great about Darkrai. Not to mention a 60 HP Pokemon running around like Celebi Prime, 2 30s. So, you're not doing quite as well here. The 110 will get a bunch of Pokemon like Zapdos and Jirachi, but it will fall short of a bunch of Pokemon like Buzzwole and Granbull, which is a slight pain. As for the 30s of the bench, you're still 2-hit KOing evolving Pokemon like Inkay, but the fact of the matter is they're probably going to have evolved up before you can hit them again. It's not ideal. Plus, there's a whole bunch of people playing Mew from Unbroken Bonds at the moment, which will block that bench damage in a way which is frankly hard to get around without just KOing the Mew, which is sad. The good news is we do have triple acceleration energy, and that means that you can pay the attack cost here extremely easily. Now, you can only put 4 in your deck, and we don't really have a good way to recover it, but it means you've got 4 turns where you put down triple acceleration energy, hit 110, you're off. I suppose being a stage 2, if you can get a couple of these out, you've also got super boost energy, which is amazing. It's only 4 energy, as long as you've got 2 other stage 2s out. It is also a Prism Star, so it is only once per deck. Outside of that, you've got the usual stuff. You can use Malamar, you can use Welder, etc. It's fine. It's payable. I don't think it's particularly amazing, but I do kind of like it. I don't think it's stunning, but I do think it is all right as an attack. And we should at this stage mention a couple of other cards that you can really play nicely with this in Expanded. So, we've got a really nice Herdia from Sun and Moon, which is about to rotate out. When you play it from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may put an item card from your discard pile into your hand. That's pretty good. It's a great Herdia, but it is Expanded only. And let's not forget we've got the other Stoutland, which when it's in the active blocks your opponent playing supporter cards, so you can essentially lock your opponent out of supporter cards and get rid of their energy while recovering your items. It's a good trio of cards. Now, in Expanded, we do also have Devolution Spray, which will let you essentially devolve a Stoutland, and then hopefully you've got a Herdia on the bench to immediately re-evolve, and then you can really start chaining your devolutions, and that will be an awful lot of fun. We do have Devolution Spray Z, which will still be legal after rotation. It only came out in Unbroken Bonds after all. The issue is it shuffles the Pokemon into your deck, which is still alright, but it means you got to find them again. It is weaker than Devolution Spray, though in Standard it is our only option. I like Stoutland. I worry that it's not quite good enough in the format that we've got. I worry that there's too much energy acceleration and too many single energy attackers to really make the most of it. But I do think it's got a decent attack, and I do love the ability, and the fact that you can double dip on the ability really makes me rather happy as well. So I'm going to be giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. A nice ability, a nice attack, but maybe not quite good enough at the moment. But who knows what the future holds. For now, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.